Hi, I'm Fr Conroy, and we thought we'd bring you this video today about Fr Conroy. As you may know, Fr Conroy will be leaving the parish quite soon to take up a chaplaincy post at Glasgow University. We thought it'd be a good opportunity using this medium to ask Fr Conroy about some of his memories of St Patrick's and some of his hopes for the future as well. So hopefully you enjoy this video, and it's just another way of communicating with you all. Thanks very much. Father, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So the news is out that you're leaving St Patrick's and you're taking up your new post as the chaplain of Glasgow University from the 1st of August, I believe.
Yeah.
So we just thought this would be a good opportunity to have a wee chat about your time at St Patrick's and some of your hopes for the future. So it's about 16 years, isn't it?
Yeah, 16 years in June this month.
This month, wow. And what are some of your standout memories of your time here? And that might include things that have perhaps changed over the years.
Yeah, 16 years, it seems a long time, but it's just flashed past. So I suppose the memories I have are mostly of people. I suppose I had a conversation there with someone the other day, and it was about funerals. And the parish, it was averaging around about 50 funerals a year. And I sort of just did a little mental calculation and sort of thought, well, that's about 800 people.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, isn't it? And not that I did 800 funerals, because there were other priests here as well, but just about 800, around about 800 in my time here. And I think that has had a huge impact on me, my approach to things, I think. And I think it's inevitable that the numbers have diminished over the years, partly because of the number of deaths that it has. I think the parish is becoming a younger parish, because we also have around about 50 baptisms a year, and that's stayed the same.
Yeah.
So it would suggest to me that the parish is getting younger, demographically speaking. Yeah.
I think it's about your reach, isn't it? So there's funerals, there's baptisms, there's weddings.
Yeah.
Just how many families that you've got to know and lives you've touched through the years. And also the connection with the school as well. We were talking yesterday about how you've seen 2 generations of children come through.
Yeah, it's kind of frightening in some ways as well. We're now looking after St Peter's as well, and they had their Leavers Mass today, and they did a wee sort of speech at the end, say thank you for people that were involved in things, and one of them said, the valedictory giver said, I've only been there for less than a year. And it sort of got me thinking as well. And then I remembered they had their confirmations in the middle of May, and one of the things that you have to do is enter into the baptismal register when they were confirmed. So I was looking at that and realised there were a few that were confirmed that I baptised. So even though I only knew them for at least a few months at that age, it does stretch back.
It does.
Your contact with people, and I suppose that's what it's really all about, isn't it? At the end of the day, that what you're trying to have a community of faith.
Absolutely. And you'll have noticed that you've had quite an outpouring of people that are sad to see you go.
Yeah,
that's the truth of it. And for people that struggle with the concept of how priests do move around, even though you've been here for 16 years, can you maybe give us an indication of how that's kind of part and parcel at times of the priestly life and how that all comes about?
Well, and according to canon law, you have to distinguish between a parish priest and an assistant priest. So an assistant priest, the bishop can say, go here, go there, and he has to go. The parish priest has a thing called stability, which means that the bishop can only really move him if there's a good pastoral reason for it. So when the bishop spoke to me, he sort of said, this is what I want you to do, but I'm not going to force you to do it. So I suppose he was respecting that stability. But at the same time, when you're ordained, you take this promise of obedience and respect to your bishop, and you renew it every year. So I've felt that when he asks you to do something, you have to do it, unless you think it's completely mad.
Yeah.
And he's lost the plot, which sometimes you might think that anyway. But so I felt obliged morally to do what he was asking, to cooperate with him, I suppose, because we are only cooperators with the bishop.
And you'll never be far away. Glasgow's not that far.
Yeah.
Also, looking ahead to the future, the chaplaincy at Glasgow University, when I first heard about your move to Glasgow University, obviously I was sad about the move, but also, as an academic myself and getting to know you over the years, I know that you like the intellectual life and you like to read and you like the academic world in terms of, your own interests. Do you think there'll be some opportunities when you go to Glasgow University to spend a little bit more time on the intellectual journey in some senses?
I think it will be important that I do. I think that, the first question was about, I think the changes that I've noticed in the parish, and I think what I've noticed is a change in society. And I think, that means, that necessitates a change, I think, in the way that we evangelise. I think the present Pope is sort of saying, you're not going out there to indoctrinate people, you're going out there to evangelise. And that means to present the message. But I suppose if you're going to present the message, it's not just to people who haven't heard it, it's also to people who have heard it and are living it, and to people who have heard it but maybe have wandered away from it. So I think that the way that one of the most important things that evangelisation has to do just now is to help people reflect a little on what society is proposing, the view that society has of what it means to be a human being, of what life is about, and say to Catholics, say to people, well, that's not how Christ has taught us to view life and to view what it means to be a human being. And it's the old adage, you can take a camel to water, but you can't make it drink. So I think what we have to do is just point out to people the richness of our tradition. And I think to be able to do that well, that involves doing a fair bit of reading, I think, and sort of both to see how society is understanding and why it's making these choices. And I think generally society is making choices for positive values, but it's not managing to get them right.
And also being at university, you'll see firsthand how the culture is changed. You've got young people who are on their own journeys, intellectual journeys, but also spiritual journeys, and being a chaplain, I would imagine, you would be a source of support for those students who are on their journeys, and they come from all different types of countries. Glasgow University has a very significant international profile, as well as a local profile. So that diversity of experience you might be exposed to could be quite exciting.
Yeah,
in many ways.
Culturally, and
Yeah.
challenging too, I presume, because I think we do become quite cocooned in our own culture.
We can do, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I think you reflected on that in one of our earlier videos,
Mm.
that when you first went to Rome, it was
Uh,
like the world opening up to you,
yeah,
and it actually benefited you
yeah,
as a human being in the
Yeah.
longer term, just through that experience of, global affairs, just
Mm.
different ways in which society operates.
yeah,
And you'll see that will be like a melting pot
for it.
at the university. So
Mm.
so there'll be things to look forward to as well. But that said, kind of going back to St Patrick's, the journey that you'll be on will be starting its new chapter very soon.
Mm.
So you'll be leaving a parish that you've been attached to for a long time. What are your hopes for the future for the parish? What do you hope for the parish, even though you won't be here necessarily at a day-to-day level? What are your future hopes?
I think I would hope that there would be a growth in people's spirituality, their understanding of what their faith is actually about and how it can enrich them. Now, I suppose that that's almost a bit too intellectualising of faith, it would seem. But I think the modern society does present that with a challenge, that people have to reflect on their faith, because, well, there aren't the same supports. And when I was growing up, I remember I lived in Montrose,
Mhm.
which there was no Catholic school there. There was a Catholic church, but it was predominantly, you were surrounded by a non-Catholic society, non-Catholic ethos even.
Yeah.
And there used to be these pilgrimages of St Margaret, annual pilgrimages in Dumbarton, and I can't remember if I've told you this story before, but my parents, we used to go to this, and I must have been about 4, maybe, because it was before I went to school. And all of a sudden I saw the stadium, Dumbarton football stadium, quite full of Catholics.
Yeah.
And I turned to my father and said, "Are all these people Catholic?" And it was just, I couldn't believe that there was that kind of society. Then I came to Dumbarton when I was about 6, and I can remember just the size of the church and the fact that it was full. Again, it struck me.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not such a bad thing being a Catholic, because there's a few of them around. And that was something similar when I went to Rome. I suddenly realised this is a Catholic culture which is quite different in so many ways, and in the way that it appreciates life, in the way that I just can appreciate the joy of living, that a cold, wet Scotland didn't seem to afford.
Yeah.
So, but I think our society now is at a place where it has a joy in life, but it's not right. It's a sort of, it's a using of life rather than a celebrating of it, to feed a false joy, an empty joy. And I think the only way that, I think people have to be able to sort of say, find a joy and find a hope, but find it on the basis of Christ and who He is, and what our faith teaches us God has done for us.
Yeah.
And I think that's about giving people that kind of spirituality requires a depth, I think, of some kind to help them find that.
Absolutely.
At the same time, having said that, I was reading recently a bit about Pascal, who in one of his little reflections said, how do you speak to people about faith when they're sort of, they live outside themselves, is what he said. There's no reflection, it's just on the moment. and our society has largely done that to itself. You know, it's almost as if it said there's no answer in faith or interior thought. So we'll just live for the moment or live for, you know, this external side of things. And there's a danger, I think, that faith can be reduced to that as well.
Yeah, I think it does link to other things, like if there's time, we fill it with things. Looking on our phones, social media, you know, the time for reflection.
Yeah.
I think we almost have to be conscious now
Yeah.
about taking time just to unplug
Yeah.
for a bit and reflect and so on. And I think maybe for St Patrick's is similar to a lot of churches in my view, which is trying to make sure that there is a route into the Mass and to allow people the opportunity to have that encounter with Christ through the Mass, which basically means people have to come and experience it. And I think the intellectualisation of it is one route. So that worked for me, you know, in the past, you know, through that route was really something that drew me, you know, after my time, you know, in the wilderness, so to speak, back into the faith. But I think everyone has to find their own route.
Yeah.
But it's presenting them with the options. So perhaps is it through youth engagement? Is it through intellectualising? Is it through the schools? Is it through these different mechanisms? So I guess the challenges for St Patrick's aren't too different to many other parishes in some respect, you know. But thank you, Father Conroy. I think that's the only thing I can really say is thank you so much for your service to the parish and the community for the past 16 years. You know, we'll continue to do what we've always done. We'll make these videos, we'll do book reviews. These are things that will continue no matter what. It's not attached to our parish. These are activities that are intrinsically valuable to do. Well, we think so anyway. So thank you very much for your friendship. You know, you've been a friend to many people in the parish, and obviously we are very sad to see you go. But at the same time, you know, we really want the best for you, and we'll keep praying for you as part of your future journey at Glasgow chaplaincy. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So just to say thank you very much to Father Conroy for taking the time to offer some of his reflections. And I think I speak on behalf of everyone. We just wish Father Conroy all the best. We'll keep praying for him, and it should be some exciting times ahead. He has said he won't be a stranger to the parish, so I'm sure we're all delighted to hear that. So thanks for watching this video.